Hey, welcome to Questions Nobody Can Answer, where each episode we ask a question that only you can answer for yourself. My name is Nathaniel Welch.
And I'm Billy Welch.
And today, we're wondering, what makes the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, so great? Why do you like it? For those of you that do like it, we are two of those people.
Yes,
I've
we
only
are.
grown up playing NES games. You actually got to play with a real NES.
Yes, when it came out
When
for
it
the
came
very
out.
first time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I've played with the, this is my controller for the NES Classic, which looks like an NES, just way smaller. Nintendo official has got like 30 preloaded games on it
Yeah.
and a real OEM controller, so it's super cool. That's where most of my NES experience comes from. But you had the real thing, so you got to rent stuff, you got to play stuff that
yeah, you got to go all the way back to
gotten
when
to play.
I was younger.
Yeah.
So like when I was younger, before NES came out, I only had I had two other consoles. I had an Atari 2600.
Okay.
Which was like, I mean, that's really early
That's
days.
the one-
The buttons were levers.
One most people think of.
Yeah, they were
if
levers
They're gonna think of
that you
Atari,
would
they
switch
think of
on.
2600.
And
Yeah.
we had, I don't know, maybe 16, 17 games right in there somewhere. I mean, I can't.
Did you have E.T.?
No, I did not have that. And then the next console I had was the 7800. And when the 7800 came out, that was really close to the time the Nintendo came out. I didn't have a Nintendo for a while. And when the Nintendo Entertainment System came out, it was $100.
85.
Yeah, it was $99,
1985.
and Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt came with it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which
that was
that's
like
super cool.
that was like the big sell. You
It
know,
comes with
it,
games.
It came with
Yeah.
games. It came with, and so you got the controller and you got the gun for Duck Hunt. But yeah, those I would have to say the NES is for at least for me is the all-time game system.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
It's and I know they made a lot of games. I mean, there's over 150 games.
I think there might have been I think the NES might have capped out, if we're talking. So, okay. One of the things that set the NES apart from everything that came before it, because the game market, or I guess the console gaming market, because arcades were still doing great, and they were only getting better. You know, Street Fighter wasn't a thing yet. So you think of, you know, when those kind of fighting games entered the arcades years later, and they were doing even better than they had been before. So arcades were not at risk, but the console gaming market had before the NES came in the picture was doing very, very poorly because of it was very expensive.
It was.
So that was
Ataris
the
weren't
NES
cheap.
was not, the NES games weren't as expensive. Controllers weren't as expensive, and it came with games. But the biggest issue, more than just price, was because again, if you really want something, you can save up for it. You can get it. The biggest issue beyond price, well, and games were very replayable back then, was quality.
Yeah.
There you could get some really good games and some really bad games.
Yeah.
And so every NES game that was actually sold in markets, like from stores, had to have the Nintendo official seal of quality. Which means they vetted the game.
They did.
And said, we're okay with this being released on our
And
console.
the games, they were a step up. They were just a step up
so
from
more than
Atari
just
games.
the fact
I mean, you're
that
going from playing
it's third
Centipede,
gen.
to playing Mario Brothers.
Yeah, it's
which is
third gen instead of second gen,
which is
so
huge.
it was a much more powerful console. But there was games were of higher quality. There was more quality control. But plenty of people nowadays, my age or a little older, would look back and play some of those NES games and go, "Man, these suck." But then there's other games from the NES
but there's
that
things
don't
about
feel
it
that way,
that make
you
it
know?
great because you can play them. You can just jump right in and play them.
Yeah.
And you went into this idea of now we're adding stories to games,
Which was not as big of a thing back then.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't really have a lot of that with Atari. You had some of it, but you didn't have a lot of it. And so, like Super Mario Brothers, the first Super Mario Brothers game, it had a story.
Yeah.
And then they carried that on with the second one and the third one, and there was a story. You had villains. You had different villains throughout the deal, and they built around that. But what was so great was that you could just pick it up and play it.
Yeah.
And it was different. Even the save feature was different. You know, as games grew and as they got bigger, you had to have cards.
Yeah.
you had to have alternate ways to save, which means you're spending more money.
Yeah, but with the NES, it was either on cartridge or you just password.
Yeah, and you could save it right on, and that was what was so great. So to me, it is like the best game console of all time, and I would select that over even some of the newer consoles. Mm-hmm. If I was going to go out, if I had unlimited money and I could go out and buy a console,
the hypothetical scenario,
yes, I would just go buy the NES. Yeah, just because that's what you would get. Phenomenal. Yeah, it's got every game that is on it are games that I enjoyed playing. And if you can even look at some of the games that even came out that around movies like Top Gun or Batman or those
the Batman
those games are
Batman
great.
89 movie.
Those are great games.
It's known for being like a very
and the music was great in those games.
Popular NES game.
Yeah, the NES music was Mega Man. I mean, you can just go down the list.
Yeah, there's some great tunes.
Exceptional.
Okay. Before we move on, I just had this thought. That hypothetical scenario of if you could only have one game console for the rest of your life, and it's hypothetical, so we're just going, you get it in all the games you would want. I'm curious because I think this could make a good question for a later episode. Yeah. To really talk about why. What's the limiting on, like, are there rules to this? So if I were to say, like, I want the PSP, which would maybe be something I would say, would I be able to only get PSP games on there? Or the PSP also, you could get some PS1 games on there?
No, I think you got to stick to the games that go with the system.
For the platform?
Yeah, for the platform. Okay. So like if you were to get something like a Switch, you can access older games because of the subscriptions and all of that is available.
But not in this hypothetical.
But no, I think in this hypothetical you can because you can you can buy the games and access them. So like if you were to go out and buy a Nintendo, if you were to go out and buy a Nintendo Entertainment System, the only thing you could play on the Nintendo Entertainment System is
NES games.
But
with some modern consoles, you can play some other games. Okay, but those count?
Yeah. I think they have to count because you're saying this is the system I'm going to buy and these are the abilities that he has.
Okay.
The problem with the NES is that's where
nowadays
that's where it gets really crazy with this question is hooking the NES up to the TV.
Yeah.
So it was coax. It was coax plug-in. You screwed it into the back, and you had a little adapter thing that you would screw your cable into, and you ran everything through the coax channel. So it wasn't like HDMI or anything like that. So,
but they make converters, so it'd be possible.
You know,
it's also a hypothetical.
Yeah, it is a hypothetical. But I would be fine with just that system and those games. That's how much I love that system.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't need Street Fighter 2, and I don't need some of these other games. I don't need because Star Wars Battlefront is like one of my favorite games. I don't need that game if I've got my NES.
Yeah.
That's how much I love that system.
You love it. So one of the reasons you like it a lot, and this, I'll just hand it to you.
Yes.
Is
the controller.
Yeah. So you talked about
the control, and this is a smaller version.
No, this is the original.
This is the original
Your hands
size?
are just big
My hands
now,
are just
Dad.
bigger. Okay.
One of the things you said is
left, right,
every
up,
game
down.
is you can kind of just pick up and play it.
Yep.
And this is one of the reasons why.
Yes. And I like
There's 2 buttons and a D-pad.
There's 2 buttons, a D-pad, and in some of the games the select button had a feature, and the start button was always pause.
Yeah. I think in
the other cool thing, let me just say this.
Pause and select.
Let me just say this.
Pulled up the menu or something.
The other cool thing about the NES that a lot of people don't know about, is you could pause that sucker all night, and it would not get hot. It would stay paused. So if you did not want to stop, you could pause that bad boy.
Your game did not save
for 2 days.
Have passwords.
You come back, I'm back in. You could do that.
Yeah.
And unless you bumped it, because it had the way the consoles cartridges were set up, is they had these leads that they would slide. It was kind of like the Game Boy Advance; they were all the same, and you would just slide in. So if you didn't bump it,
you were good.
You were good. You could pause that baby for 2 days. You wouldn't have to worry about it. You could pick it up and go right in.
So why do you like the controller? Because you talk about this controller a lot.
I like the controller because it's simple, and I really like the straight edges. versus the round
edges.
edges.
The fact that it's a rectangle.
Yeah.
And not,
I like that it's a rectangle and it has straight edges because that's just the way I play.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I can play it like this. And I never got cramps in my wrists or in my finger. I mean, I could play. I mean, I'm going, you know. I could do it. And so I just liked that style.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the D-pad. Mm-hmm. I was never a fan of the analog stick. When they came, like when PlayStation and even what was it? Was it GameCube? Was GameCube come out with the end? Who came out with the? Is it
PlayStation did it first?
PlayStation, and then
it would have been the N64.
The 64. I did not like that.
That was weird.
I did not like that center.
The 3-prong.
That center analog stick. Yeah. So for me, it was just
really. The Dreamcast
and even when I played, because I had a PS1, and even when I would play Street Fighter on PS1, I didn't like the analog. I didn't like it. Now I had Street Fighter on because I had a Sega Genesis, so I like. This is how much. This is how much I loved Nintendo. I loved the Nintendo Entertainment System so much. When they came out with the Super Nintendo, I bought a Sega Genesis. That's where I'm at.
I don't think most people follow.
I was so disappointed in the Super Nintendo that I jumped straight to Sega Genesis. I'm like, I'm leaving. I'm going Sega.
I'll be honest.
I'm going all in with Sega.
Think, you still need to play because I have the SNES.
I mean, I played some of those games.
You need to play some of those. I think they would be some of your favorites.
But I did not like the controller. Now the Sega Genesis
I love the controller.
had it had a similar thing going on with this controller. Okay, yeah. it had a directional pad,
3 buttons,
but it had default, I think it had 6.
They had a 6-button one for fighting games, but the normal was 3.
But it was round. It was round. I mean,
not as round,
but it was simple.
Kind of had grips.
And I think I'm just a D-pad guy. I really like the D-pad. Now the Atari was weird because you had the
joystick
like this,
and the buttons.
And you had ones that were like this. Nintendo NES did come out with the gaming pad, which was cool. Yeah. I mean, you had the joystick and the gamepad, but I just like that controller. I think that is the greatest controller ever made.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, if they made a TV remote control for that with that, I would buy that.
Yeah,
my computer mouse. I would buy that.
If he could have left click and right click and control his mouse with this, he would.
I think I'd buy a phone that looked like that. Okay. I mean, I love that controller.
One of the reasons I like the NES, talking about why I like it, and this is kind of due to the controller and due to the restraints of the time. There's this phrase, limitation breeds creativity.
Yeah.
The first person I ever heard say that was a fantasy author named Matthew Colville, but I've heard a lot of people say a similar sentiment where they change out some words, but it's kind of the same quote, so I don't know if it originates from somewhere. But I feel like a big issue, it's not a big issue. I mean, it's a cool problem to have, as I feel like nowadays there's too much you can do with consoles. Yeah. Like they have so much options.
They do.
And it's kind of funny. I think that's actually why, you can talk inflation and all that kind of stuff. But to some degree, gaming hardware has gotten really expensive. Like the Game Boy Advance, used to be able to buy that thing for $100.
Yeah.
Which $100 still back then is different than.
But when you think about that, so the Game Boy Advance,
it's been 20 years.
The Game Boy Advance is the second generation of the Game Boy, correct?
Third. They had one called the Color.
Oh, correct. So they had the original Game Boy. And then they had the color, and the Game Boy Advance came out, and it was $100. You could buy
SP.
You could buy the NES. You could buy the NES for $100.
But $100 in 1985 is a lot more. The Game Boy,
I think the Game Boy was $50. The original Game Boy.
Game Boy. Okay.
And here's the thing:
you had to buy batteries.
When Game Boy came out, the next console that came out with portable was Sega, and it was the Game Gear.
The Game Gear. Mm-hmm. And the Game Gear was popular in some other places.
Yeah.
But like if we're talking Sega, Nintendo, like the big the console wars, the main dudes, it was the Game Gear. So the Game Gear, as far as I know, had some cool games, but just
Sega was just a whole new crop.
It didn't last as long as the Game Boy. It ate your batteries way faster.
It was completely different. It was just a whole new thing.
Yeah. But back to what I was saying, the NES. I kind of got lost there. Yeah, so gaming, I feel like with the money thing is because they've kind of tried to power up the consoles too fast.
Yeah.
I think if they if people were less concerned about like the technical leap, stuff wouldn't be as expensive as it is now, and we wouldn't be but games wouldn't be like graphically and all that stuff power wise as far along as they are now. That's the cost, the obvious cost to like, we can advance more, but it's going to cost people more. Yep. That's just how it is. Yep. Like, that's pretty obvious. But with the NES, you are still dealing with a lot of technical limitations. I think part of the reason why, something I've talked about when I reviewed A Link to the Past, which is a Super Nintendo game, is how a lot of games back then like had poor localization, because most games for a Nintendo console were being made in Japan, and so they're being brought to the US and they have to be translated.
Yeah.
And taking something in Japanese and putting it into English, you're going to have 1.5 to 2 times more text, because you're talking about the difference between a high context and a low context language. Yeah. And so back then, memory was everything. And so you were having to, it was like, we can't have a period there because we won't be able to fit the entire game on the cartridge if we have a period there. My point being, back then, and then we're going even earlier to the NES, limitation is you're limited in many ways. You're limited by how many buttons you have on the controller. You're limited graphically. You're limited sound-wise. You've only got 5 sound channels, and usually 3 of those are being dedicated to music. But sometimes you need to have a coin play, so we're gonna cut out one of those channels. You got to optimize which channel from the music track do I want to be removed whenever another sound has to overlay. There's a lot going on, but in the process, you got some very, very good games, and they're very, very simple. So I like that. I really like the. I mean, you can talk about the term NES hard. How a lot of NES games were really, really hard. They are, and of that's the mindset difference, and that you're going.
Well, it's a generation.
This is as hard as hard as an arcade game, but you're thinking, I don't have to put in quarters in. I can try as much as I want. I can try as many times
as I want.
But for someone,
the challenge was always to win and not die. I mean, it was kind of like if you can beat Super Mario Brothers 1 without dying.
I can't do that.
And do it in 30 minutes.
I've seen you.
You know, it's a different. It's a different day. It's a different age, and I think that's what I really love about the system. I like the new systems, and I like the graphics that the new systems put out. But for me, the new systems are too close to real life. And I like retro. Yeah. I like old school. I like old sounds. I like old pixels. Yes, I like the old bit music. I love that. And to me, that's part of playing a game. I don't really want to play a game that it looks like I'm there.
That's like.
To me, that's not really a game.
That makes sense.
You know,
you don't necessarily care to be.
You can understand. I grew up
immersed in the game.
I grew up with Pac-Man, and I grew up with some of these things, and I would play Pac-Man, and I'd play Galaga, and I'd play Centipede, and I'd play some of these Atari games, and then I would play
Asteroids,
The Legends of Zelda, and some of these other things, and it's kind of like cartoons, you know, and I don't want it to be too real. Yeah. I want it to be.
I get what you're saying.
I want it to be fake, and I want it to look kind of fake, and I get immersed in the story that way a little bit better. It's kind of like, for me, the NES is kind of like watching old movies.
Yeah.
And there are just some old classic movies that are going to be classics. They're going to be movies that you're going to remember forever. You're going to watch them, and you're going to rewatch them over and over and over again because you really love them, and that's what the NES is for me. I can just pick it up and play those games, and it's like I'm. You know, I can just play them over and over and over.
At its like purest.
Yeah.
It's break. You strip away all of the all the big other stuff.
I like the side view. I like the tabletop view. I don't need 3-dimensional. I mean, when I think the first 3-dimensional game that I saw that I can remember playing was it Sonic? Where you could go into and you could
Sonic 2.
Yeah, you could move and turn. And I saw that stuff, and I'm like, man, this is weird.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm really used to top down or just plain 2D. You know, side to side, and like Legend of Zelda kind of has a top down feel to it.
Yeah.
That game is amazing. I love that game. And then you take a game like Contra, and Contra was great, or Mega Man 2 or Mega Man 1. Those were great games.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Super Mario Brothers, great games. Punch Out, great. I mean, all those games were
which Punch Out is
exceptional games.
Kind of trying to be 3D a little bit.
It's trying to, but what's so 2D, great is it's not.
And it's not top down. It's kind of like somewhere in the middle.
It had a cool,
but it's very
different angle going on with it, and the music was great. Mm-hmm. Music
we both
Knockout was awesome.
NES music.
See, I played Knockout when it was Punch Out. Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson, and then they took the name off because of the whole ear biting thing. We're gonna go there.
But I kind of more prefer Super Nintendo and like PS1 era music. Like that's more my jam. But I still like good old NES chiptunes. But you have this playlist or this video. It's like this 5-hour video you turn on all the time of just a collection of NES songs.
Yeah, on YouTube. It's great.
Some of them...
It's got 150 theme songs on it.
As a drummer, awesome. I'm just blown away by some of the tom parts.
I mean, it's like 80s. It's like, I need a hero. I need a hero. It's awesome. It's great.
It's cool.
One of the things, too, that was so cool is I got a little bit into PlayStation 1. I had a PlayStation 1, and I don't want to get off topic with NES, but PlayStation 1... There was some changes. I mean, graphics really changed.
Polygons. And we left behind pixels and moved to polygons.
And that was an okay system for me. I want to say that. I want to say it's an okay system for me. It tried to look real, but it wasn't real.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's why I would probably prefer a PlayStation 1 over a Playstation 2.
Because the PlayStation 2 starts to get there?
It starts to get too close to reality for me. So it's just a weird thing that's how it is with games for me. I mean, I want them to be retro. I want them to be old school. Yeah. And I mean everything from the controller to the music to the game selection. I mean, my favorite games come out of the NES period. Mm-hmm. I've got a few that I can maybe throw in my top 10
there's
are not
four
in the
you
NES
talk about
period.
All the time, and they're all 4 NES games.
Yeah.
So.
Well, when we do the NES games faves, or we do our faves, you'll be surprised what my faves are. I genuinely think you are going to be surprised.
I just
at
know
my favorite games.
That for the games you always talk about liking.
Well, see, the hard thing
is
the hard thing is I have my 4. I have my 4 that I really, really love. That I think if I could play any game, these are the games I'd play. But then 5 through 10 and 15, it just gets hard.
Well, we're just doing 5.
I know, but I'm saying 5 is really hard for me to select 5. Number 5. The number 5 is a really hard select for me. 1 through 4, easy peasy. I got it. But yeah, that we'll do it. It'll be great. It'll be great.
Yeah. So
let me say this about the NES though. They came out with a game. So everybody knows Tecmo Bowl. So we have Tecmo Bowl, the football game.
It's a football game.
And we have Super Tecmo Bowl, which was like part 2. Okay, on NES.
Was that also on NES?
It was on
Not
NES.
on the Super Nintendo?
No, it was on NES. Yeah, awesome game. Okay. Awesome game. A lot of fun. They added a little bit more with, you could say, graphics in it when you catch a touchdown, and you could throw it, and they would do like these zoom up close things. It was a fun game. It was a lot of fun. And you could actually control the players a little bit better. But before that, there was a football game that came out, and it was called John Elway's Quarterback with the NES.
Okay.
It was a top-down. It was, you could say, the inspiration for John Madden football because it looks just like Madden football.
But it's on the NES?
Except it's on the NES. And I had that game, and it was awesome. Me and my dad would play that game. I mean, actually, I had to rent it. I didn't own it. I had to rent it. Or one of my friends had it. I'd borrow it from him, and we'd play John Elway's. But it was so cool because you would open up, and it would have all the plays you could select from. Which was like in Tecmo Bowl, you only had like I think it was like 6 or 9. I think it's a 9 in Super.
4.
But anyway, you had tons of plays. You could just scroll through the playbook, but it was all top down. And it wasn't perfect graphics. It wasn't like perfect, amazing John Madden graphics, but it was awesome. And then, of course, Madden came out and just took over. Yeah. And it's still going. Madden's awesome.
Yeah,
it's an awesome
game.
Win
every year. Yeah, so 2 more things for me about the NES that I really like. One is kind of talking about what I was saying earlier, but because they were on the cutting edge, because it was so new, yet they were still so limited. They were still constantly learning, and so you look at the very first NES games, or I guess like Famicom games, because it was out for 2 years in Japan before we got the NES in the States. Like the first Super Mario Brothers, you look at that, and then you look at some of the last games ever on the NES.
Yeah.
Those games look way better.
Yeah, they got better. Much better. They got better at them.
Yeah, because they learned how to optimize the console. Yeah. And so I love that there are still some early NES games like the first Super Mario Bros. That are just classics. But I love that you don't get this as much with consoles nowadays. You still see it, but still it's so slight. I mean, you can barely even tell the difference between like the PS4 and the PS5. There is a difference, but it's not near as big as like the NES to the Super Nintendo. But the beginning of the NES to the end of the NES is about as big of a jump from like a different generation of hardware. It just looks way different. And I think that's really cool to be able to look at this and go, like, wow, they really were just constly developing.
Yeah, it'd be like going from standard def to high def kind of stuff. To 4K to 8K. I mean, they maximized it.
Yeah, and that's really cool. They didn't have it, like they had it for long enough to where they were really able to get the most out of the console before they moved on. And for someone who owns that and is playing with that and is still probably going to have it for plenty of years even after they move on to a new console, that's really cool. To go, man, I got my money's worth of this.
One of the things that we have to mention about the NES that separates it from all the other consoles, the new consoles that are coming out, is when we got the game, we saved the boxes, and they came with books.
I was just about to go
And there. The books are awesome.
Yeah.
They're awesome because you could open the manual, and it would show you all of the items you could get if you were Zelda. And it was always, Link. Link. I've got to find, if you're playing Zelda, I got to find.
Who's the main character of Metroid?
I got to find the sword. I got to find the book. You know, I got to find the, I got to find all those things. And even contrary, I mean, you could see all the different kinds of guns you could get. Yeah. And I mean, it was, and Metal Gear. A Metal Gear's book was amazing.
I'm sure.
I mean, it was like, we're talking like 30 pages,
Yeah.
You thumbing through it, graphics, all kinds of
cool. 51 pages or something. So that's one of my favorite things about the NES and the Super Nintendo, and the PS1. So I mostly grew up with PS2, and then from there, and the PS2 games we had the manuals for weren't bad, but I didn't know, like, that all the stuff before was much, much, much better, and really, really cool. So that's my favorite thing to do whenever I have some NES games and SNES games I'm working on reviewing, and I've just gone back and found their manuals online, and it's like 50 pages, and it's got a map, it's got the game's story,
because it's amazing.
You can't fit the story in the game, but you can have it in the manual. It's super cool to me that literally the use for the manual nowadays, it's redundant because they put tutorials in the game.
Yeah.
But
so
you were supposed to read the manual before you
played the game. I would borrow the game. I would borrow the game, and I would be in the game, and I'd be like, okay, I got to call my friend because I don't have the manual. And I'd be like, okay, do you know where this is? It keeps saying something about this, and I can't find it. That's how important the manual was. And now, so like the closest I'm going to get to NES is Nintendo Switch. That's it.
Yeah, you've got the.
Yeah, I've got the
NES NES online pack. Or whatever.
Yeah. And I play those games all the time, but I gotta look them up online because there's no manual.
Yeah, so that's something that I think kind of sucks with a lot of people I hear kind of in my generation and again a little older. like complaining about NES games, like, oh, they don't tell you what to do. There's no tutorials, any of that stuff.
Yep.
Well, you were supposed to read the manual, and if you actually look it up
If
and
you
find
read the
these
manual.
manuals and read them, not only does it teach you how to play the game, but it gives you the story. And in the case of a game like Zelda, and Final Fantasy, here are literally all the enemies you're going to be fighting. Here's their names.
It had their names.
Art.
It had the story in it.
Really cool.
Even in the front of the book,
names of items.
It had 3 pages.
Some of them had like notes in the back.
Yeah. In the front of the book, though, it had a 3-page deal on the story. You would read the story before you dived into the game.
It was just really cool.
And then, of course, it had all the controls. And I don't know when they got rid of manuals. I mean, I can remember
manuals.
Street Fighter 2 had a manual.
Manuals mostly
on Sega Genesis.
Like after the PS2, they weren't really like useful anymore.
We had a manual for...
But then by PS4, they pretty much got rid of them.
Yeah, we had a manual for Ninja Turtles.
So what is that?
The Ninja Turtles
6th
game.
gen, they kind of became redundant, but then they were gone by 8th gen. Ninja Turtles for the NES? Or are you talking about the PS2 Ninja Turtles?
The PS2 Ninja Turtles had a manual.
I think we kept that one.
Yeah, so I remember that. But it was kind of like...
I don't know where it is.
I don't know when they disappeared, but...
They're just that's not what, in the... But also, games aren't really physical
Well, now you
anymore.
can just like open the options menu and go through the thing, and it tells you different stuff. Or, but here's the deal: if you want to play NES games and you're playing NES games on your Switch, you need to just Google it.
Yeah,
because now there's full sites.
Yeah, and Nintendo literally has, for the majority of their games, and I'm sure you can find this for some. Other games they published, like Final Fantasy, the first one, that they didn't make, obviously, in-house, you can find the manuals online on their website, nintendo.co.jp or whatever. It's something like that. Maybe don't just Google that. I don't know. Yeah. But if you look it up, blah, 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 NES manual, you should find a link from Nintendo with everything scanned in high quality.
Yep.
And you can read your way through that to your heart's content before you jump into
because if you just Google it, if you just Google a problem in the game, it's going to give you the answer. It's going to tell you how it's going to tell you how to beat it.
Yeah. I don't like guides. I like to figure it out for myself. But the manual gives you everything you need to know to start. And then once you start, you're good.
That was just one of the cool things about having an NES because you would collect those bad boys and you'd have them all, man. Yeah. You'd be like, I got this. We're going to play this game. You'd pull it out.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
fun.
I don't know. For me, it is top notch. It is the best. And I like that I can play things on the Switch.
Yeah, that's cool.
I do.
That's cool.
I love.
You can still play
I like
games.
the Switch. I don't have the new Switch. I don't know a whole lot about. Let me just say this: a buddy of mine has it, and he loves the high definition in it. He loves the graphics.
Oh,
it's clean.
But you don't really play new games. For the most
I don't
part.
play them. I've got a few new games. I mainly stick in the NES sector. I've jumped over into the Game Boy sector because it's got some really good games in it.
The Mega Man Game Boy games are cool.
I mean, they're a lot of fun, and you go some of those games that they don't have them
Link's Awakening.
Because the way they do it is they download them, and they haven't released them all. So you're waiting and waiting for them to release a game, and they haven't released a game. But they may have like a Mega Man 2 pack over in Super NES or whatever, and you can jump over there and play it. So it's kind of weird how they do that. So anyway. Yeah. But man, I love that I can play them. I can still play them. I don't play it as much because I don't like the shape of it and it hurts my hands.
But this doesn't hurt your hands.
This does not hurt my hands.
Yeah.
This was back when things were simple. Things were made easy. They just worked. And it was a great time. It was a great time to be alive. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So, a lot of memories playing with it. I mean, we'd play a game till we wore it out. To where we'd have to blow on it, and we'd have to move it sideways.
They
and we'd have to
not do that. But
well, when you're pausing it for 2 days,
so
it's what it is. But
yeah, the NES is awesome. There's a lot more to say and dive into, but we'll do some of that in our next episode, where kind of as we hinted at, we're going to be talking about each of our favorite NES games.
Is it NES games or is it games of all time?
NES.
I thought it was games of all time.
No.
Oh,
top 5.
NES. Well,
NES
I'm just going to
games.
tell you straight up, my 4
games.
Not yet.
Not
I'm not going to
yet.
tell you what they
Not
are,
yet.
but my 4 games are not only my 4 top NES games, they are my 4 all-time top games.
Okay. I don't think
yeah.
there's a single game.
But my 5th all-time is not an NES game.
That would be one of my top
So
games.
I'll throw in my 5th one will be I'll have
close.
to do paper, rock, scissors with some of the NES because they're just so good. It's like you hit number 5 and it's like, oh, what am I going to do? Which one do I pick?
You have a lot more to choose from. I've gotten mine down to 7.
7?
7. And so I just need to cut 2 of them off. And honestly...
So the challenge for me is 5. It's not the 4. Like I said, I rattle off the 4 releases. But the 5th one, that's the challenge for me. It's going to be hard. That's going to be a hard question. That's going to be hard.
You've got 2 weeks to figure it out.
2 weeks. All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
Up, down, left, right. BA, select,
A,
start.
select, start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for joining us.
99 lives.
And our waxing lyrical on the Nintendo Entertainment System. We kind of talked around some points, but I think hopefully you have gotten a good understanding of why we each like the console.
Let's end it like this. Go out and get yourself a Power Glove. You'll appreciate it. You can wear it to work. You can use it when
find one of those on eBay.
Use it when you're driving the car. Get you a Power Glove. When you're pumping your gas, get you a Power Glove. You got it. That's it.
Hey. Okay.
And on that note, right?
We hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you want to know next episode's topic in advance, check out our other podcast, Lamp Into My Week. Why do you like the NES? Let us know. And God bless.
Rock and roll.